fear of abandonment is probably the main reason you have a hard time building healthy and secure relationship with partners, perhaps with your ex, perhaps with your current partner. In this video, I'm going to describe the 5 main fear of abandonment, but also, and more importantly, I'm going to discuss how you can become more secure, how you can move away and overcome those fears. And also, we will discuss, and that's at the end, and I love this topic, we discuss about attraction and how we can help you change the way you perceive your ideal partner. Because very often, people who have fear of abandonment are picking the wrong people, the wrong partner, and they end up reproducing the same patterns and end up being dissatisfied in the relationship. A lot of things to discuss in this video. Bear with me. Jingle.
IGetMyExBack.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
First sign is the constant need for reassurance, which is a classic one for people who have an anxious attachment style. I didn't mention that in the intro, but fear of abandonment creates people who have an anxiously attachment style. And so what you'll find is people who want to seek reassurance about love, about commitment. They want to be sure whether the person is on the same page. And so whenever they don't have any sort of affirmation, nice words, nice gesture, they assume that person doesn't love me. Okay, so unless he or she tells me I love you, I would assume that they don't love me. And so in this video, I'm going to share with you on each slide the sort of thought process or the things, the stories people tell themselves when they have a fear of abandonment. And in this case, for the constant need for reassurance is, do you love me? You know, always this thought in their head that they're obsessing on. Second one is overly clingy behavior, which is very common after a breakup. It's really extreme after a breakup. It's the idea of being really dependent on a person. It's having a hard time considering doing things without this partner. And so when you're dating someone who's avoidant, who values independence, self-reliance, it could clash very often, because if you develop this form of codependency with that person, he will pull back even further. And so for you, the challenge, and we discussed about how to be secure, is finding ways to be okay, to be alone, not to be single, but to be alone, to have some of me time as well. And so situations would be, I don't want to do this alone. I want you to come with me on that trip. I want you to come with me shopping. I don't want to do it alone. And so very often we lie to ourselves thinking, yeah, I need that person to help me shopping. In a way, it's just because you hate to be alone. And it's something that you need to really reflect on and try to work on, because it's very important if you want to have a successful relationship to cultivate interdependence, which is a bit of depending on your partner, but also a bit of independence. It's finding the right balance. It's always the right balance. Third one is relationship movements, people falling in love very quickly, trying to accelerate the process. They rush into relationships quickly, they rush through the relationship very quickly. They project very often the potential. It's something that I see very often with my clients, with my anxiously attached clients, is that they tell me, I know this person has a potential. I know he could be. I know what we could have. And I always have to tell him, hold on. But what is he doing now? What is she doing now? What's the relationship right now? And then obviously the answer is different. It's really about understanding that you project a future, you project something. And in a way, sometimes I'm a hopeless romantic, and when I was dating before, I like to create those scenarios in my head. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna have kids, we're gonna do things like that, etc. You have to be conscious that those are fantasies and that you're projecting things, right? And forcing yourself to be in the present time and to really look at the things that you get from the relationship very factual way, not about the emotional, not about what it could be. Especially if, for instance, you're dating someone, you have inconsistent attention, inconsistent connection with that person. Don't always cherry pick the highs of the relationship. You have to do the average of the lows and the high and measure like where is it going. Okay, it's very important. Another one is jealousy and trust issue, obviously. The idea that love is a competition, which comes from childhood, where you potentially had to fight for your father or your mother's attention. And so you enter a relationship thinking like, I need to cling to this person because if I don't, he or she will be interested in others. It's also very linked with an element of self-confidence, thinking that I'm not good enough. And because I'm not good enough, that person will find someone better. Because I have this fear of abandonment, because I expect this person to leave me at some stage, that I'm very careful and it's very hard for me to let my partner having some free time or discussing with people who could be dating my partner. So the thought process here is, I'm sure she's flirting with someone, I'm sure he's flirting with someone. So it's very hard for you, the independence element, but also the fact that your partner might be interested in other people. Another one, the last one, is overreacting to signs of rejection. And again, it's something that obviously you feel even more when you're suffering a breakup. It's when you also overreact on those signs. For instance, when you're texting someone who's avoidant or secure and you're very anxious, you assume that this person doesn't care. When you don't get, because you're very much someone who cares, someone who would be expressing what he or she thinks, you expect the same from your partner. And so, for instance, if you travel, you always send a text when you arrive. And if your partner doesn't, you assume they don't care, right? So it's really, again, having this framework that people would leave me if they have the opportunity. By default, people don't care about me. I need to fight because it's a competition. And because of that, I need reassurance. I need someone to confirm that we are together. But despite that, I will still project a lot of things. And I still want to accelerate the process, because if I accelerate the process, if I commit, if I get that person to commit, to show me commitment, then I'll be reassured. So these are the signs of that fear of abandonment. And as you can see, it can really drive patterns, toxic patterns in a relationship, whether it's with someone avoidant or someone secure. Now, how to become more secure? This could be hours of video. It's only one slide, but bear with me because it's very important. First of all, it's the importance of knowing attachment style, knowing attachment theory, understanding how you function. This is why I make those videos. It's for people to learn. The best feedback that I get, and it's luckily one of the most common feedback that I get from my clients, is they tell me, I wish I knew that before. It explains everything. And that's why I'm trying to do as many videos as possible to really spread the word and help people to understand this. So what you have to do is, once you understand this, is how you can change what we call internal working models. So I refer that as a framework of the way you see things, your little voices in your head, however you call it, the scientific ways, internal working models, is how you can reframe those things, how we can play around and tweak those models to make them more secure. Of course, it's a process. That's why people go through therapy, and it could take weeks or months. The process, for instance, to get back with an ex, and there's always an element of being more secure, it doesn't have to be years. And in a way, I'm a former avoidant, but there are part of me that are still avoidant. So the point is doing the work, being more aware, and also, as you're more aware, having this versatility to change when you need to be self-reliant, when you have to be depending on someone, and so on and so forth. It's like speaking another language. And so, in a way, I'm a bit bilingual, not only French, English, but avoidant secure. And it's very important because being an avoidant has also some qualities. So the self-reliance element, the self-soothing element are assets, are superpowers. And so when you have an anxious attachment style, when you have this fear of abandonment, there are elements that you should keep to yourself that are assets. Caring for others, thinking about others, being generous, all these traits, you shouldn't remove them. I'm not asking you to change who you are, but it's changing your response, which is slightly different and easier, obviously. And so your mission right now is to make a relationship inventory and challenge why you are attracted to certain people. So look at all the the people you dated. Could be short relationships, long relationships, and with what I'm going to explain later, try to see if there are some traits, if there are some patterns. It's very interesting, and I want you to do the exercise with me. I want you to comment in this video your findings. Don't share anything that you don't want to share personally, but I really want for people to also see on the comment thread what people answer. And I'm very curious actually personally to see your answers. How attraction works, there's the first element is familiarity. So it's something very common in psychology, is we are unconsciously driven to things that are familiar to us. The problem with unconscious drivers is that they don't know what is good for us long term. It drives us to something where we get immediate reward. Why? Because as a kid, the norm was, for instance, to fight for your parents' attentions, to be a people pleaser. That was your role. You had to please your parents. You had to come back to your parents with, super great grades for them to be proud of you. You had to, earn. It was very hard to get your father to say, "I'm proud of you." All those kind of things. And unconsciously, that's what love is. That's your definition of love. If you think about it rationally, that's not what I want. I want someone who cares for me. I want someone who would support me, who would cheer me up. But in a way, when you are attracted to someone, you want also that toughness. You want also someone who's difficult with you, because that was the dynamic. That was the familiarity element. It's so common, and that's why people with abusive parents end up with abusing partners. And again, if you think about it, it doesn't make sense. Why would you reproduce the same things? It's because of familiarity. There's also another element that is very unconscious, is the unresolved needs. So the theory suggests that we are drawn to situations so we can fix them. We replay those scenarios so we can change things. Another example is an absent father or mother, and you need to be your best to get his or her attention. And so what will happen is that you will choose unconsciously a partner who will behave the same and expect a different outcome. So let's say your primary attachment figure was not around often, and that made you anxious and you were craving for attention. You will unconsciously select someone who is also not available and try to fix that person, try to change things, because you want that attention. You want something you didn't have when you were younger. It's the base of the imagotherapy that people do for couple counseling. It's fascinating. Please let me know in the comment section if you feel you can relate to this. The problem with this is that you expect a different outcome, but sometimes it's the same outcome. And so you end up being depressed, sad, asking yourself about, questioning your self-worth, because you feel like it's always the same, therefore it must be me. Right? I never get the attention, I never get the validation, therefore I should be the problem. No, the problem is that you pick up the wrong guys or the wrong partners. The effort, something very common for people who have a fear of abandonment. Again, looking at the image of fighting for the attention of your father, of your mother, in a way, for you, love is, I need to fight, I need to, it needs to be difficult, I need to win someone. It's an effort, it's a challenge to be loved. I need to earn this love. It's conditional. Love, when you're a parent, should be unconditional. But the problem is that when you have dysfunctional families, it could become conditional, right? It could become, therefore, hard for children to get their parents' love. And this is why for a lot of anxious people, they are not attracted to people who are secure. It's very interesting. I have friends who are anxious, and they would tell me like, "Oh, I met this guy," and they would describe me, and I was like, "Okay, he's perfect. What's wrong?" Well, and they would always find, this new term is the ick. They would always find things like, "Yeah, but he has the very weird ways of saying things, or he wears like red pants, and I don't like." Like, is that why you don't want to commit? And they will always find things because they find this person boring. They find this person boring, and what they like is they, in a way, unconsciously want someone who is exciting. So ask yourself in your relationship inventory, have you also encountered people where everybody around you told you, he's a catch, she's a catch, you should marry that person, you should stay with this person, and where you told yourself like, I don't feel like it. The I don't feel like it is a revealing thing about how attraction works. Because sometimes the way we decide our partner is not necessarily the right thing, right? As I described here, it's because of those unconscious drivers. So it's important for you to address this fear of abandonment so you can make better decisions. Being more secure will provide you better partners. That's mechanic. In conclusion, so I'm making those videos to shed light on those unconscious drivers, because as I said, people make bad relationship decisions because they are driven by emotions. Now it's your job to take action. I can't do this for you. I'm just providing you the tools, I'm just providing you the insights. I expect you to do the work. So comment on this video. Let's use this video as a forum to discuss those things. I will also leave some stuff underneath the video, some free content to look at your relationship inventory, to look at how you can become more secure, how to overcome anxiety, everything for free, because I really want you to, not only listen to my tips, but do the work. And if you want to get in touch with me, you also have a link in the description. Take care of yourself. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.